So you just gave me an entree into something that jumped out at me and again, and I say this not just to say something nice about this book, but this book strikes me almost like the I Ching, where you open it up to any page and there's something there to deeply ponder that has to do with the here and now, okay? And maybe it's just my reaction to it, but you write here with masculine, feminine, you just mentioned that, and by the way, my reading always of the opening of Genesis is the narrative is that some giant cosmic truth is being contained within the narrative of the creation of this man, this woman, or I should say it chronologically, man and woman. Okay. Woman was created second. And I have my own thoughts about these forces. So I wanted to read what you wrote here, and then I have a question that's very rooted in 2015, okay? You write under here, tool, simultaneous push/pull tension, masculine/feminine, components of the cosmos are in dynamic tension and/or engagement. Some components simultaneously push from one dimension, and pull from another realm. For example, a component may push from a metaphysical level while it pulls from a reality realm or from a still further out potential realm. So if I could ask you to discuss that, and also within the idea of masculine and feminine, and let me throw something in, here's the 2015. We are in a time of alleged or so-called voluntary gender, right?
Okay.
We're in a really unusual time.
Okay.
It's rather mind-blowing.
True.
When I was at Limud, for instance, I looked around, and at one point I realized that there were two young people who had been gender reassigned. Two young people, probably in college or post-college. Right. It was very obvious to me one had been born a girl, was now a young man. The other had been born a young man, was now a young woman. Their gender studies is raising the question of, is gender real? Is it real? What does it have to do with our physiology? So I'd like you, if you don't mind, if that's not too much, to speak about here how masculine and feminine fit in with the simultaneous push-pull, and also to discuss in a very concrete term what an era that raises the possibility of gender as being voluntary or being two-dimensional, what that has to do with cosmic masculine feminine. It's a lot.
So first, the first question. Well, I believe I say in the theory that what's true in a cosmic order is also true parallel in our current order, down to earth. And in fact, I think eventually people are going to play detective. Okay, we have this happening here, reality level. Now let's figure out what's happening at metaphysical level. I believe you can use it to I've used it myself in the book to try to learn different things. Where I had to fill a gap, I'm saying, okay, what's happening on a physical realm in the 21st century? And now we can extrapolate back on a metaphysical realm. Right. So obviously, male-female plays an important part in the real realm, and one could presume that it plays a role in the metaphysical realm. Of course, many Eastern philosophies deal with this with a vengeance. You walk into some shrines in the East and they go for it, So you enter the whole realm, and of course push-pull resonates with childbirth, right? Push-pull, right? Of course, even in sexual relations, there's a push-pull component, right? Okay. So you have this push-pull in many different levels, and I believe it sort of probably pervades the cosmic order. Probably the metaphysical realms pushed, they wanted to get into reality levels. We're in reality, and reality pulled. They wanted to draw the metaphysical into reality. That's one. I don't think I said in the book, but one could. That would be my first play on it, and I believe it's a major component. Meaning, so you can actually extrapolate from sort of intimate zones in our reality world into very dynamic zones in the metaphysical world. One can sort of play with it. It can be there's a whole field of study. where is the parallel in metaphysical realms? Is there a parallel? And because we cannot pierce metaphysical realms with our telescopes, but we can pierce it with parallels. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not a science now. It's more intuition or logic now. But one could develop it more and more to an entire corpus of debate and discussion. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty fascinating to me, you know.
Yes. Go on, and then I have an immediate question for you.
Yeah.
So, David Birnbaum, like how? So you've got this whole system of belief.
Right.
Tell me about how this plays into your day-to-day life. Really, how does you have and we're talking about a really small piece of it, but are you? You know, one of the big words now is intentionality. There is, of course, a Jewish concept, kavanah. Is your belief system, is your philosophy a constant companion with you as you go through your day? And if so, explain how that does it impact your consciousness or intentionality?
Well, 1,000%. And anyone who's read my books or talked to, it's a very empowering concept. It's empowering to everybody. Because remember, we are dropped on this planet and we're not giving direction as to our purpose, who we are, where we're going, where we came from. And it articulates, remember, this is all hypothesis. Well, of course, I believe it 100%, but my official position is that hypothesis. We come from potential, we are potential, and our goal is to reach our maximum potential. Each person personalized, customized. And that potential changes every day based on what we did yesterday. And also based on how the world has changed.
Okay.
Now remember, one of the most charming Jewish prayers is Moda Ani. You know, Moda Ani, Lefanecha, I thank God they restored my breath to me, my life to me. And I spin that, you know, Moda Ani, I'm thankful that I have another day to go after my potential. Go after your potential short-term, medium-term, and long-term. You don't just say what I'm accomplished today, you say what I'm going to do today, which extends my long-term potential. Potential is a big word, but go into it. So I tell people, view yourselves like, who are you, Shira? I say, you are a potential. You're not just your chemistry, you're not just your resume. You are loaded with potential. And your potential includes your children's potential and your writing's potential, which all radiate outwards. Your Bungalow Babe column potential, which I read, which is great. These radiate outwards, they have their own life. So you are not just physical you are everything that you might be and everything you impact. Well, that's so profound. You are an entire universe. When you get up in the morning, you say, I'm an entire universe. And let's see what I can do today. This is a profound way to approach the day.
That's amazing.
Wait.
Yeah.
And let's say, of course, we all take different hits. Well, if you're a profound universe taking a few hits, it's not so bad. If you're just a regular person taking hits, that could be bad. If you're an entire universe of potential, okay, I took a few hits. Boom. You can fling it off. You understand what I'm saying? It's also a buffer around you. Now, Tony Robbins discusses also in his own vernacular, in his own terminology. He does also say reach your potential, but he doesn't make a big deal about it. But he's talking on a non-spiritual self-actualization level. But I'm wrapping it up into a cosmic metaphysical level. The cosmos wants you to reach potential because that's what the entire cosmos is doing. The cosmos is trying to reach its own potential, and we're all part of it. We are all part of an integrated whole. It looks like you are separate from me, but we're all integrated. And we're all in this grand, infinite cosmic journey, individually trying to reach our potential as part of the greater whole. And that's why, on some level, it's harmonizing to the entire corpus of humanity. Because it says we're all in this together. So easy does it. We're all in this journey together. It's not just who has more territory. we're all on this cosmic journey together to advance humanity. That's the proposition. It sounds good to me.
Right, no, it sounds good, and it seems also that this quest for unity also drives another one of your projects that I'm familiar with, obviously, which is Summa Matrix.
Right,
but
right.
no, the unity, it's one of these belief systems that can devolve into something like cliche or Hallmark card, but is actually very profound
Right.
because, let's face it, one of the things, I'll just be really personal, I think like a lot of people right now watching the news, I'm trying not to feel overwhelmed by some of the
Atrocities,
terrifying
right.
atrocities, but also terrifying revelations.
Right.
I was really mind blown earlier in the week, and I think I posted something like this on Facebook simply because I haven't had the chance to develop it more into a blog post about who was it? I think it was Peter Bergen on CNN. Sat down with Anderson Cooper and
Right.
said, ISIS ideology is an end of days ideology.
Right, right.
You may wonder, anybody looking at their well-publicized atrocities has to ask, why are they antagonizing Jordan, Japan, Egypt? The Nazis hid their crimes, right?
Right, right.
And so he said, and he had a crew of experts and scholars on, that it's an end of days ideology.
Right, I saw the segment from the scholar who wrote a piece in the Atlantic relating to it, right?
Yeah, and that's
right.
obviously terrifying because people who believe it's the end of days aren't really interested in unity. So that's a whole other matter, but what you're describing right now happens to be exactly what I believe about life.
Okay.
And so I guess my question is, how do you build? You want your ideas not just to exist in books.
Right.
How do you create a movement or a global awareness that this is so? Because if one believes that this is so, not only do you embrace every day, like you said, you're a universe, and if something horrible happens, you're not some poor, meaningless person.
Right.
You may have inner resolve. It's a place where, yes, the self-help gurus have said this, a lot of the Eastern philosophers, but
Right.
you're giving it a different context here.
Right. Totally different.
Yeah, how do you take this belief and spin it out so that the world believes this, right?
So, it's so interesting because first you have to conceptualize an idea, and then you have to write a book, and then you have to get a publisher to publish your book, a top publishing publisher. And as we all know, this is close to mission impossible to get to that point. Then you have to get reviewers to review your book. At first, the Jewish periodicals would not review my book because I'm not a Jewish rabbinic. First, the major Jesuit journals reviewed my book. And after 4 global Jesuit journals reviewed the book, only then did the Jewish journals review my book written in the Jewish context. Let's understand what we're talking about here. How many barriers you have to, hurdles there are in the process. And then there's a big international conference on my book. And then the atheists ganged up on Bard College, ganged up on Bard College in New York for holding this big international conference on my book, which proposed an overarching dynamic to the universe. Remember, I'm proposing an overarching dynamic to the universe into the potential. And according to hardline atheism, the universe is aimless and randomness and decaying. They ganged up on Bard and threatened Bard with isolation, meaning they were in alliance with British randomness atheist academics. They threatened to isolate Bard. And then Bard denied there ever was a conference. Then we posted tapes of the conference. Bardtapes.com. Wait, I'm getting to it. Wait. So now you ask me, what am I doing to propound the book? Look, I have business, etc., and we all have a regular task. I try to do my share. To advance the ideas. And I'm not pushing a movement. Potentialism Theory, potentialismtheory.com to see it, or philosophy1000.com to see the books online. It proposes metaphysics which can be used by the religious, by the spiritual or not religious, by the religious who are not spiritual, religious who are spiritual, and by secular man. So it's a very empowering, no matter what field you're in. And to me, that's great. That's so great that everybody sort of wins.
Yeah.
Only one sliver of humanity, which is called the hardline atheists, which represents about less than 1% of the world, does not win. Because it delegitimizes that very fundamentalist view that there's no possibility of an overarching dynamic to the universe. It doesn't delegitimize atheism per se, which is more open. It's a certain group called hardline atheism, which has no possibility to any direction whatsoever to the universe. And here we have that their position is any direction must be classic creationist God. I say, no, that's a possibility, but infinite potentialism does not have to be classic creationist God. It might be. That's up to the individual.
Yeah.
You hear what I'm saying? So it's a very so that's how it sort of plays out.
Right.
But they're constantly engaged in character assassination, gambits, other nonsense, which are beyond belief. But they're headed towards the dustbin of history.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, look, it threatens.
Right.
It's the exact opposite of what they're saying,
Right.
and in a
Right.
way, they're going, no,
Correct.
don't say what you're saying.
Correct.